All right. Recording and sharing my screen. You guys need to see my back camera. There we go. All right, so here was our story. My friends who are in the room, you have this story to look at. So the directions were in this assessment, you'll read a new story about a very unusual library. Read the text carefully and answer the questions that follow. So we read the story to you, but we also asked you to reread the story to yourself so that you could find the answers by referring explicitly to the text. We also know that there were several words that were in bold throughout the story. And why were those words in bold? Miss Ellie? They are important, and they also were part of the questions that we had. So instead of making you search like detectives to find those words, they put them in bold for you so you could find them easier. Okay? So instead of having to reread and trying to find where fortunate was. So the first thing that they had you do is they had you fill out a gist. And we, those of us who are here, we put the girl, the ones at home, we put the child. Could the character have been a boy or a girl? Yes. It was a first person story, so the story was from a first person perspective. So all the pronouns were I or my. And it did talk about a sister, but that doesn't tell us whether the character was a boy or a girl. So we just sort of made a choice for you, or we just said the child, because that way you didn't have to try to find a name in there somewhere. So the first one was a point that everybody just, we didn't count that as a point because we just gave it to you. Then the setting was a small mountain village. Now, if you on your paper have something to indicate that you had a point for that, it might not have been exactly small mountain village, but something along those lines. Small village, small village in the mountains, something along with that. So everybody who's here should be looking at their answers. Everybody here, everybody at home is listening nicely. Thank you. What did the child or the girl want? What did they want? Sunny?
He wanted the elephant to come.
Right. They wanted the elephant library to come with what? With books. Because the real idea was the elephant library was going to bring them books. But what was the problem? What was the problem, Abby?
They couldn't get up the muddy stuff.
Right. The elephants. Oh, I can't spell. Couldn't. And why couldn't they get up the mountain?
Because it was steep and really muddy.
The muddy, steep trail, right? So you had something along those lines, we would give you the point for it. So what was the solution? How did we solve this problem? Bryn? Okay, so the kids of the village went down to the elephants. That was our gist that we had. Basically, if you had basically those ideas, then you got a point for each 1, 2, 3, or 4 of those. Then go ahead and flip to the next page. My friends at home, can you see this well enough? Hopefully you can see that. All right, I might just make it a little bigger just in case. There you go. Is that better?
What pages are we on?
So Mrs. Aubin and I probably circled the correct answer, so you just need to look at and see how we graded it. So this one was missed by almost everyone. So I need everyone to listen, my friends at home and my friends here. Almost everyone missed this one. So we really need to take a look at it. So it says, what does dampen mean in this context? And remember, when we look at context, the context are the words around the vocabulary word, the sentence that's around it. So most of the time, I think some of you thought oh, dampen, and you sort of thought about it and used your sense of what's normally in your head when you see the word damp, because damp is our root word. And if you just look at damp and then your options, you are going to get the wrong answer, because damp usually means what?
Wet.
Wet. But it does not mean that in this context. So we're going to go to dampen and we're going to read. So even the pitter patter of the rain couldn't dampen my excitement. Can I wet my excitement?
What page are we?
No, we cannot wet our excitement. So it's not A, definitely not A. Can it make it more dry?
No.
Miss Harrison.
All right, so that eliminates those two. So now we have make less strong or make much worse. So I woke up early this morning. Even the pitter patter of the rain couldn't dampen my excitement. Excitement is happy, right? So I'm looking forward to something. So make less strong or make much worse. Which one of those is the correct one, do you think, Noah? Make less strong is our answer. So most of you answered make slightly wet, but and dampen usually does have to do with wetness, but if you went back to the text,
On a page.
reread what it's had in the context of this story, it doesn't mean to wet. Okay, so that one is hard. That one was a hard one, but it did say in this context. So you really have to read the story, the question carefully, and you really have to make sure, am I going back to the text to answer this question and not just using what's in my brain? Because of course, most of us know that damp means wet, but you can't use that information today. You have to look explicitly at the text. If agreeably means pleasingly or pleasantly, what does disagreeably mean? So I'm going to go back to the text and I'm just going to reread that sentence that it's in. And so again, they gave it to me in the dark bold so I could find it. I was disappointed and snapped disagreeably at my sister when she tried to ask me a question. So does it sound like she was happy?
No.
No. So let's keep that in mind while we're choosing our options. So agreeably, there's agreeable, or even agree would be our root word. And it means pleasingly, so like pleasant. There's our root word for those two words. So which one does disagreeably mean? So is it more pleasing? Does that dis tell us more? No. Does that, is impossibly even one of the choices up here? No. So that's not one of our options. How about incorrectly? No, that's not what, so let's double check. So I've got one left. Let's see if it actually makes sense though. Make sure that we go back, just like in math, right? When we go back and make sure it makes sense. So if agreeably means pleasingly or pleasantly, what does disagreeably mean? Does it mean unpleasantly? Yes. So the answer was B. All right. So don't be erasing anything, my friends. You already got a grade for this. So you don't need to worry about correcting it right now. So number 3 said, what does fortunate mean in this passage? Use a dictionary and write the definition in your own words. And they gave you 4 lines, 4 whole lines. And many of you didn't really use that space very well. But the question is, what does fortunate mean in the passage? If you looked it up in the dictionary, it gave you 3 words. Okay, one of those words is a 3rd grade word. It means what, Miss Ellie? So 4 words in the dictionary? Okay, well it gave us, okay, so which one did you pick to use as your own word? Did you use one, or did you write down exactly what the dictionary had? Exactly what the dictionary had. So it does say in your own words. So I was looking for, there was an easy 3rd grade word that I was looking for your answer, or something that meant the same thing as that word. Evie? Lucky. I was looking for at least some sort of definition that has to do with lucky. Now let's go look in our text and make sure lucky makes sense. We don't have a school or library, but we are lucky because a team of elephants brings us books. Does that make sense? It does. So lucky is our basic answer. Now you could have said it in your own words in a different way. Some of you used advantageous like the dictionary did, which means you copied it from it and that was fine. But there were some of you who missed that fortunate meant lucky altogether. So make sure that you go back and make sure that the word that you put down makes sense in that spot right there. Number 4, using clues in the text. In the text. So what does that mean I have to go back and do? Find it in the text, don't I? What do you think din means? So I'm going to go back to the text and reread around it. This quickly becomes a din as we all shout with excitement and run to greet them. Okay, so which one of these choices can I automatically get rid of? Anybody at home? Does anybody at home have one that they absolutely can see that? So A, a long prolonged sound, noise or sound. B, a small dinner-like meal. C, a large animal that lived millions of years ago. Or D, a sound like a bell. Anybody at home have a choice there? All right, I'm gonna, yep, I can. Jensen. Mr. Jensen, can you unmute and tell me which one of those doesn't make any sense and I can cross out?
A large animal that lived millions of years ago.
Very good. Do we have, because they put D-I-N, making us think of what? Dinosaur. Does dinosaur start with D-I-N? But it's pronounced differently, right? Dine rather than din. So it definitely isn't a large. Does anywhere in the story do they talk about dinosaurs? No. So that's definitely one. Nice job, Jensen. What is another one that makes really no sense for what we're talking about at all? Haley? A small dinner-like meal. So they were hoping you'd use your, they were thinking they're very tricky. They want you to use, they want you to use the text, but they're thinking about, well, what would the kid do if they don't use the text? They think about what it might be in their brain. Some people say, hey, it's time for din-din, right? Meaning what? Dinner, right? Like a small meal. Okay, but are we talking about food ever in the story? No, so that one is definitely not one. So that left us between A and D. They're both sounds. So then we have to think in this situation, which one of those is the best? And does she hear a bell-like sound? No. So it's going to be a loud, prolonged noise or sound. Okay? All right. Here we go. So last one said, what part of the text gave you a clue about the meaning of din? So it says parts. Does it say parts? No. So how many answers are we going to pick? One. So A, as we shout with excitement. B, I had just about given up all hope when I heard the shout in the distance. C, oh, I have way too many voices going on. C, I was disappointed and snapped disagreeably at my sister. The first person in the village to see them coming up the mountains always shouts. Which one of those can we eliminate immediately? Next one? Yeah, that one doesn't really have to do with noise, does it? Nope, that one, we can cross that one out. So that, Miss Elena, is there any other one we can eliminate? They all have to do with noise, right? So now we just have to decide which one is the best. So let's go back to the text. All right, so let's read around it. When the elephant team arrives, the first person in the village to see them comes up the mountain, always shouts. This quickly becomes a din as we all shout with excitement and run to greet them. So our answer is A, as we all shout with excitement. Now they all have shout in them, but you have to decide which one really helps us define it. All right, so that was the first day. The second day of our test, we had to come up with a central message for the story. So some of you, so everybody be on this page for me. My friends at home, you had a Google Doc that had this on there. All right. So a central message is what the author wants to teach us. I have some friends in the back of the room that are talking and I can't talk past you. So a central message or a lesson is something that we want to learn. So Mrs. Aubin and I decided to give, there was an answer that the EL wants you to have, but if you had a good answer about something you really thought that they were teaching and you supported it with your answers here, we may have given you credit for that, okay? If you could support your answer by saying there are exact things inside your, that were inside the story to help you, we would allow for that. So we gave, here, we looked for here, and we also looked for you to have complete sentences and for you to have, subjects and predicates, capitals and periods. We were looking for that in here. So, lesson or central message. A lot of you picked perseverance or something that goes along with working hard, that kind of idea. That if you do your, if you keep trying, it'll happen. And so the actual one that the EL people wanted you to have was that challenges can be overcome with hard work. Did the challenge get overcome? But who had to do the hard work? The kids. The kids had to go down to the elephants. They didn't let the fact that the elephants didn't come up do that. Does that go along with perseverance? Yes. Okay. Some of you just retold the story or said the elephants couldn't come up. So that is what happened in the story, but the author is trying to teach us something about with this story. So when you have a lesson or a central message, it's something that you can apply to a different situation. So let's listen to it again. Challenges can be overcome if you work hard. Can you use that in our classroom? Yeah. Can you use that at home? Yeah. Yes. Is that a lesson that you can use in a lot of situations? Yeah. Yes. So when you have a lesson or a central message, it's always going to be something that you can apply in a different place than just this story. So some of you just retold my story here and just said the elephants couldn't come up. So that's going to be more in the challenge. What was the challenge and how is it overcome? A central message or lesson is something you can use later in your life. And we definitely know if you have a challenge and you work hard, can you overcome it? Yes. Yes, definitely so. So then you had to tell some details here and how it showed perseverance or how it showed how you overcome a challenge or how it showed something else. So one of the suggestions they had was that you could put, like when she had to think really hard at how she was going to solve the problem. There was a sentence in there. In fact, I can go find it right here. On the back side, on the back page, it said, my brain was working quickly. I wanted those books. Is that a detail that shows she's not giving up? That she's gonna work hard? And then it says, I suggested the idea and everyone agreed. Okay, so did she get help to overcome that challenge? Yes, all of those people are gonna go down. And then it says, they walked very carefully down the slipping muddy trail. It took us a long time because we had to move slowly, not to slip. Does that show that it was hard work? Yes. So here are some sentences that I could have written in here to show that hard work overcomes things. If you picked perseverance, as long as you had some ideas that went along with perseverance, how they persevered. So Finn, this is the second time of having to tell you, you need to have your mask on at all times, my friend. Thank you. We got to keep it on, buddy, for everybody's safety. Okay. All right. So that was that page. Then you had some questions. Now, was this page important?
Yes.
Why was this page important? Because we needed to use it for the other pages, right? This was our note catcher. So once you had that page done, then you had a page, then you had the pages that had these questions on it. Question 6 and question 7. I'm just going to show you what the EL paragraphs or sentences look like. Mrs. Aubin and I did not expect your sentences to be exactly like this. But when it says 3 sentences, we did encourage 3 sentences. Many of us didn't quite meet all those sentences. So that might have affected your point. So this was worth 1 point in your comprehension. So if we might have given you half if you put half of the information, if you put the lesson but didn't put the details, or you put some good details but you missed the lesson. So we could have given you, if we wrote half a point, that's why. All right. So it says the lesson is that challenges can be overcome if you think carefully and work hard. The narrator explains that his or her brain, see, they even indicate that we're not sure if it's a girl or a boy, right? So they could have said the child's brain was working quickly to think of another way to get books. Is that a detail that we got from the story? Yes. Which conveys the idea that thinking carefully when there is a problem or challenge. The narrator also explains that going to the elephants took a long time and made them tired and muddy, which conveys working hard to overcome a challenge. So there were 3 sentences there. One was the challenge, one was the lesson, and 2 details. And we also looked at this for capitals, periods, subjects, predicates. Okay, so when you're writing, Mrs. Aubin and I are always looking for that. And my friends at home did a really pretty good job of having their capitals and their periods. You guys did a nice job of that. I think you probably had the help of the computer and the tools, and I'm so glad that you used those in your spelling tools. So if you're at home and you did a Google Doc and you got the points there, good job, my friends, for sure. The last question, and then we're going to move on. The last question says, in no more than 2 sentences. So how many sentences did we really expect? 2. Answer the following question. What was the challenge in this story, and how did the main character overcome it? Use details from the text to support your answer. So what should you have done first thing before you wrote anything down? What could you have done, Gabe? Yes, ma'am. What should you have done before you did any writing? Elena?
You should have gotten the capital letter and reread it.
Okay, so you're going to start with a capital letter, but you needed to do what? Find in the text what you're going to write. You need to refer to that text. Some of you did what again? Just used your memory. So you need to make sure you use the text. That's really super important, to not just use your memory. All right, so what their example was, the challenge was to get the books even though the elephant library couldn't get up the mountain. So if you had anything like that the elephant library was having trouble getting to the village, you got that point, or you got that part of the point. The main character overcame the challenge by going down the mountain to the elephants. She got the books. So you got a half a point for if you got the right challenge, and half a point if you said how they challenged it. So everybody who's at their desk, look to see if you got that whole point or if you just got half a point, and think about why, or if you didn't get that point at all, think about why you might have missed it. Okay? So I want you to think about those. All right. So my friends at home, hopefully this is going to help you with tomorrow. I still had several friends at home, even though I sent it back for you to add some things to it. Some of you didn't add it, and so I had to reduce some points. Like, so I don't want to name names, but there were a couple of you who I sent emails to your parents about things to finish. You just turned it in undone. So I had to just give you the points for what was there. So I tried really hard to get you to answer all the questions, but some of you still missed out on a couple of points for not finishing the last question or not getting in that lesson. All right, my friends. So let's think about, so tomorrow you are going to need to take another test. You're going to read, it's another assessment to see, we're going to read a piece of writing to you. You're going to want to reread it, and then you're going to want to you go through and answer the questions.
Today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow you're going to do that. So I want you to think today about what could you have done that might have helped you do better. What strategy could you maybe have worked on? Because nobody had perfect answers, did they? So, which anchor chart?
All those strategies for answering.
So
active response, maybe we could use that to help.
we could, I'm going to have them open up their workbook. So open up your workbook to page I always have it and then it always goes away. Page 49 and 48. Okay, page 48 and 49 in your workbook. My friends at home, take a look at that. I'll pull it up so you can see it on mine. Okay, so there are strategies. Here we go. These are just the basics, Mrs. Aubin, so that there isn't so much to read. Here we go. So here are our criteria for reading, understanding, and explaining new text. I can refer to the text and ask and answer questions. How do you feel about how you did that today? If you felt, or on this test, if you feel like, did you get all of the answers right? Did you refer to the text every time? So maybe you're not going to pick on target. Getting there?
Yeah.
Are you close to, so then you're going to put an X in that spot if you think you're getting there. Everybody needs to be filling this out on page 48. Page 48. So you're going to judge yourself, but I want you to judge yourself honestly, especially my friends at home, because I wasn't there to see how you were doing, where here I had a little bit more opportunity to see how people were doing. So did you need support referring to the text?
Yeah.
Were you working on it? Are you getting there, or are you on target? I have to tell you, I don't know that many of us are ready to be on target yet. Nope, you're just picking one. It's a scale. So it's a scale. 1 means you're really having trouble with this and you really need support referring to the text. Number 2 is, hey, I'm working on this. I'm getting there. No, I'm trying. 3 is I'm feeling really good, but I'm not quite there. And on target means I've got this. I can refer to the text to ask and answer questions. Base it on this test, not just what you think you're going to do tomorrow, but how you did last time. Now, the next one says, I can determine the meaning of unknown words. Remember all those multiple choice questions? Whew, there were a lot of them, weren't there? And they all had to do with knowing what a word means. So think about how your score was for the vocabulary. I can determine the meaning of unknown words and phrases using at least one of the following strategies. So are you feeling on target? Getting there? Working on it? Holy moly, I need some help. I can read it again. I can determine the meaning of unknown words. That's like din and fortunate and unpleasantly or disagreeably. That's what it was. And I'm going to use, and then we're going to break down the strategies. Okay, so you made a choice. Be honest with yourself, my friends. Be honest, because the best. Remember, our affirmation this week is I will take a chance. We all have room to grow, right? Now, the next one says I can use the context around the word. I can use affixes and roots. I can use reference materials. In other words, that's a fancy way to say dictionary. So decide, do you need some support in that? Do you need, are you working on it? Are you getting there? Are you feeling pretty confident about using the context, the affixes and roots? Miss Elena, we're filling out this out. And the dictionary. If you're feeling good about all 3 of those, on target. Give me a thumbs up, everybody, when you've got that row, how you're feeling about that row. My friends at home, I'm looking for some thumbs up if you made a choice. Good job, Charlie. Awesome. Still looking for some thumbs. Logan, did you make a choice? All right. Clara's ready. Mr. Leo's ready. Astria. Okay, here we go. Next one, last one. Ben, are y'all ready too? All right. Here's our last one. Now, think about this. Mrs. Harrison read this to you, and Mrs. Aubin may have also read it to you in the other room. Think about if we hadn't read it to you. So if you had to read this all by yourself, okay? So think about that, this one. I can read and understand grade 3 level text independently. If we hadn't read this to you, would you have been able to read it and answer those questions on your own? Need support? Working on it? Getting there? On target? Make a choice. What do you think? This is a grade 3 level text that they gave you. We supported everybody in this one. So, but think about how you feel about it. Okay. All right. Going on to question number 2 on page 49. Think about, we have been in school now for about a month now. So we started September 8th, it's October 6th. So of course we had the remote time before that, but think about all the different changes, the things you've learned in the last 4 weeks or so. How have you improved since the beginning of the year? I know it says since we worked on this skill, but think about what have you become better at this year that you showed on the test. Was it, I can write in more complete sentences? I remember my capitals and periods. I can go back and look for the words in the text. What is it that you have improved on since the beginning of the year? Go ahead and write that right now in your workbook. Reading. Yep, we're just talking about EL right now. Thanks. Finn was clarifying. He said, is it only EL? Right, today we're just talking about those skills that we just talked about over here. All right, so think about all those things that you've improved on, that we've worked on as a group. So going back to the text, subjects and predicates, making sure your sentences are complete. Miss Abby, we're filling this in. Or you write it down. I know you don't have your book, but you can write it down. How have you improved in the last month on the skills we've been looking? How about looking for affixes, looking for roots, going back to the text, all kinds of things that you can write. How have you improved? I'm going to give a little silent time so you can think and write. You can even look here and write down part of these ideas. If you're really struggling for an idea, you could write, I am working on referring to the text. I'm trying to figure out unknown words better. You can use this as a helper. Filling out this part right here. So we call this reflection. So when we reflect, we are thinking, you know, all of us have improved since the beginning of the year, right? All of us, everybody at home, everybody here has improved on something since the beginning of the year. But unless you can name it and really think about it, sometimes you don't recognize what you made the progress on. And so we call this reflecting. When you reflect on your work, it helps us become growers of our own education. All right, so I know some of you are still finishing that, but it looks like most of our friends are ready. My friends at home, are you ready to move on to the next one mostly? All right, Ben, go ahead and put them away. Thank you. All right, next question is number 3. How can I improve? And it says next time, but I mean tomorrow. Right? The next assessment is tomorrow. So tomorrow, what are you going to work on? What are you going to do better? Are you going to read the questions more carefully? Are you going to refer more to the text? Are you going to do a reread? I love that. Are you going to be careful when you use, not to just use what's in your head, but also to go back to the text? What are you going to improve on tomorrow? Because we all know we've gotten better, but are we all perfect yet? No. So we all have something to improve on. There's something we can do better because nobody got a perfect score on everything on their test yet last couple weeks ago. Nobody. So there's always room for improvement. Yes, Ellie. Yeah, that's if we had more. Yeah, we're doing that now. Yeah. So Ellie, yeah, when you got on your test, how you guys were doing on everything that was attached to your test, your scores, that was your teacher telling you how you did on those things, right? So we kind of gave you feedback already.
So we're writing on how to
Improve. Yep. So would the score that you got on the front kind of tell you what areas you need to work on? Yeah, that's another key indicator, isn't it? If you look at your scores and you have any 2s, and my friends at home, I know that you don't have those right in front of you, but you know, you can think about which ones you missed and see what can I improve on. And so tomorrow, when I give out the assessments and when I help my friends at home find everything you need to answer the questions, Mrs. Harrison's going to say, think about yesterday, what you said you needed to work on so that you can mentally think about, what is it I'm going to improve on? What am I going to do today that I'm going to do better than I did last time? It's not going to be the same questions, so you can't say I'm going to get number 2 right. That's not going to help you because number 2 is not going to be the same number 2, is it? So, but it can be the same idea as number 2.
I think I did pretty good. I got 2s and 3 3s.
Excellent. So just write down what you think you want to do even better on next time. Yeah. Haley, are you ready? Are you ready to go, my friend? Did you get both things filled out? Haley, do you have page 48 and 49 finished? Okay. Thank you. And after he is ready, he's what? Thumbs down. All right, Mr. Robert, what can I help you with?
At my house, we don't have the best internet, and my screen just kept freezing.
Gotcha. Okay, are you on page 49 in your workbook? Okay, I lost him. He disappeared on me. I know, now I don't even see him at all. Okay, there we go. No? Oh, okay. So Robert, do you see page 49? Okay, did you give an answer to number 2? Yeah, okay. How about number 3? No? Okay, so go ahead and write down something you want to improve on number 3. Okay. Okay, thank you, buddy. Okay, so think about over here. You can choose one of these. So, yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Robert. Can you see what I'm showing on the screen? Can you pick one of these areas that you want to improve tomorrow? Pick one of these that has a score over here, and then write in your own words what you think you could improve on. Okay? All right, thank you, buddy. Love that. Thank you for letting us know you needed some support. Thank you for letting us know. All right, so based on that, my friends, we're going to recollect, just don't move them right now, but Mrs. Harrison and Mrs. Aubin are going to recollect those assessments from last time. So what we're going to do with the rest of our time today, we know that some of you have still some work to do on your, oh, I put it on the floor. I got to get it. on your note catcher on page 44. This one was Mrs. Harrison's for Canada. Some of you did this work yesterday and finished, but some of you have not. So we're going to give you time today to finish. And if you, I want to kind of go over real quickly how you need to follow the directions on page 45 and 46. Mrs. Aubin spent some time with my remote kiddos, but I want to point out some things I noticed for the kids in the room as well. So geographical features, let's review. Those are the physical things like the weather and we put cold and dark for Canada. If you are in Finland, think about what the weather is like there. Think about where is it? So we put for Canada, it was in North America. Thailand, a lot of you put Southeast Asia. If you had Zimbabwe, you said South Africa, Finland. Friends, think about where Finland is, Northern Europe, right? And then it gave you some ideas. In Canada, it's a large area. In Thailand, you might have put jungle. In Zimbabwe, you might have put words like sandy, desert area. So we have that area filled in there. Then you had challenges. You needed to pick more than just one. I saw some people who just had one answer here. You need more than one part of the challenge. There might just be one overall challenge that it's isolated and doesn't have a library, but why? Is it a problem? Because they need entertainment in winter. They need something to do. So I have more than one answer in here. Challenge, how it's overcome. You need more than one detail. Don't just tell me the elephants bring the books if you're in Thailand. Don't just tell me donkey carts bring books. If you're in Zimbabwe, tell me what else they bring. Okay, what else do they do? How do they solve that problem? Okay, if you're in Finland, tell me how much because you're talking about boats, right? So in Finland, you're going to tell me how do the boats work? Why do the boats work well? Give me details. Then that last one here, importance of the library. Mrs. Harrison talked about this yesterday, but some of you still need a reminder. Should the name of your country be in there somewhere? Yes. So children in Canada need packages of books from the mail to devour on cool, dark nights. So you need to make sure you're including the who, the where, and what is going on and how they solved it. You're taking that entire article and doing what? Smashing it into one main idea sentence. Taking this big article, and so you can't do all the details, but you better hit all the important ones, right? So some of you, Mrs. Aubin, noticed we're not using page 45 and 46 to help you. My friends in here, I had some who were using them and some who were not. So today, if you think you're done, which we know that probably some of you aren't actually done yet, go back and read and make sure that you actually did everything on page 45 and 46. Because some of you just went straight to this and ignored this, and you missed some information. All right? So go make sure that you're following. You don't have to do everything exactly like it says, but it is the teacher. It is helping you talk when you need to talk, and it's helping you write when you need to write. Okay, so we're going to give you the rest of about 15 minutes to work to finish up. Mrs. Aubin, I don't know if you want to do you want me to let the ones at home know that you'd like to check their work before they? Yes. Okay, so Mrs. Aubin's going to take my remote friends, and she would like to double check your work before you think you're finished. And if we finish early and you've got all of our parts finished, then we could work on some independent reading, okay? But I have a feeling most of us will be spending those 15 minutes filling in some extra detail, okay? Sound like a plan? My friends at home, don't go anywhere. Mrs. Aubin is going to make sure that you guys are set. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. All right, and I'm gonna make you hostess with the mostest, Mrs. Aben. You are now the host, so I am no longer in charge. All right, my friends that are in here, go ahead and move your desk where you need to be. And you got 15 minutes. There's little chairs, yes. Say that one.
Charlie Van Rickley, are you still here? Yay. Okay. Your friends are getting ready to